is Kelly Goslin. I am this summer's archivist at the Anglican Diocese of Ontario, and I'm here to present to you the Archives Showcase. Many of us will have heard of time capsules, cornerstone records and secrets that are preserved for future generations to find and explore. Here at the Archives, we have a handful of these rare documents and artifacts. One in particular, which we will be examining today, is the memorial note that was provided for the laying of the cornerstone at St. Thomas Church in Belleville in 1855. This document is excellent because it provides not only insight into the development of this original church structure and into the church's history, but furthermore, through it, we actually can open a discussion for heritage conservation and progress within our diocese and all of our points. St. Thomas Church in Belleville has a lengthy history dating back to the first quarter of the 19th century. Belleville was originally an Anishinaabe or Mississauga indigenous community that was settled for centuries prior to European colonization. Then, during the American Revolution from 1776 to 1783, parcels of land in the Belleville region were purchased by the Crown to provide resettlement for United Empire Loyalists who fled the 13 colonies once the US had gained independence. As they settled in the area, Singleton's Creek, which later became known as Myers Creek after a famous industrialist, they began to settle and establish a community center which slowly turned into the town of Belleville. In 1816, Sir Francis Gore and his wife, Lady Annabella, visited the town of Belleville, which at the time was still Myers Creek. In honor of her arrival, it was named after her first name, Annabella. In December of 1818, several prominent citizens and residents of the community of Belleville and the neighboring regions petitioned the Lieutenant Governor of Upper Canada to provide them with a plot of land located on the hillside near John Street and Church Street, upon which they could construct an Episcopal church. Their first Reverend Campbell, arrived in 1819 from Ireland, and by 1821, the Anglican community had established a small red brick church on their original site. Throughout the 1830s and the 1840s, Belleville as an agricultural and industrial area slowly began to flourish, and then by 1856, with the extension of the Grand Trunk Railway through Belleville, it absolutely exploded with cross-provincial commerce. During this time, the small red brick church that had originally served approximately 150 people was suddenly having to face a community of over 6,000 residents by 1860. As a result, the Anglican community decided to build a new church on the existing site. In 1855, they laid the cornerstone for a much larger Gothic limestone church. It was completed in 1858. Tragedy struck, however, when an overheated furnace in 1876 sparked a fire within the church. The entire interior of the church was decimated, and the exterior walls and tower were all that was left. Those were reused and repurposed in the rebuilding of the church, which opened again in 1879. And for a time, the community in Belleville flourished along with the rest of the town. Then, sadly, in 1975, tragedy struck again when this time an arsonist set the church ablaze. The entire interior was once again completely destroyed, and this time the damage was so significant that the exterior church walls were no longer structurally sound. As a result, in the following year, the ruins were actually repaired, but they no longer provided the structural integrity for the actual church to stay upright. Instead, they were quite revolutionary in their design by housing the bones of a concrete and brand new glass church structure. In doing so, St. Thomas Belleville became an iconic marriage between heritage preservation and modern innovation. In 1990, the church decided that they wanted to build a parish center attached directly to the original church structure. To do so, however, they had to close and clear their original cemetery. To do so, they relocated 579 bodies, all from the original settlement of Belleville area, and interred them in a significant grave where each was given their own parcel of space. Beforehand, the remains were actually studied by archaeologists at McMaster University. At the time, in 1990, this was the largest example of non-native remains being moved and then repatriated in North America. The tombstones were then permanently assembled both within the northeast wall of the church itself, as well as within a freestanding memorial. At some point during all of these transitory moments in the life of St. Thomas Church, the cornerstone from 1855 was brought out and back into light, and in it we had a fantastic time capsule. This document in particular, which was actually printed on silk, is the record of the memorial for this laying of the cornerstone in 1855. It displays the names of the incumbent, church wardens, the donors, the head of the Society of the town of Belleville, as well as the congregants who helped promote and support this new structure. In it, we also have a description of what else was placed in the cornerstone time capsule, which included a contemporaneous amount of coinage, a current copy of the Belleville Investigator, and various other artifacts that they believed would provide insight into their development and their role as a British colony for future generations when the time came to unveil this secret. It's fantastic because through this document we can examine not only the establishment of St. Thomas, but we can also understand its legacy and its various iterations as it moved forward through tragedy and through triumph. As we face ourselves increasing questions about our historical points and the structural landscape of our diocese, we can look at the story of St. Thomas and the story of this record itself, and we can find progress and a unity through faith that is integral for not only survival, but actually through progress despite adversity. Join us next week, where we will be examining the life and times of the son of one of our founding fathers and his role in the development of Canadian legislation and policy.